Ladies and gents, this is Meelunie Live. Please welcome the CEO of Meelunie, your host, Marco Heering.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, and welcome. You all made it. That's really great. I'm very excited to have so many of you here with us today to celebrate this milestone anniversary, and a warm welcome to those who came from far, far away countries to be here with us today. It really means a lot. Thanks. So, this talk show setting, it's actually all about getting out of your comfort zone, because that's what we like to do at Meelunie. We love to get out of our comfort zone, because getting out of your comfort zone means development, and with development, new opportunities come within reach. This is going to be my first talk show, and guess what? As Donald Trump would put it, it's going to be fantastic. So, for our first guest, let me take you back to a very different time and place. Let me take you back to Hong Kong, 1948. It's the year when Meelunie first started doing business with Mr. Chan and Mr. Lam. Both gentlemen are a bit older these days, 101 and 95 respectively. So their excuse for not being here with us today, but we are extremely proud and honored to have with us the son of Mr. Lam. He's running the business these days. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Oscar Lam. Oscar, welcome. Oscar, you followed in your father's footsteps.
Yes.
Did you have a choice?
Well, of course I have a choice.
Yeah?
Yeah, but I think as a Chinese, as a Chiu Chow, we follow our father's footsteps.
You know what I just realized? This is our first talk show, and we already got an Oscar. How about that, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you.
What do you see as your biggest challenge for, let's say, for the years to come? I mean, what will be one of the advice you'll be giving to Cyrus and Edwin?
Okay, now the first generation, of course, do tradings. The second generation, like me, will go for more product expansion as well as integration, like we have farms in China. And the third one is that the third generation now is mainly on finance and marketing, because in the long run, our medium-sized company cannot be financially rich. We have to be very careful about the finance. If one mistake can kill you,
Yeah. So we can rest assured that you'll be around for a few years to make sure that Edwin and Cyrus
I have
get
to.
the
That's my job.
Proper training.
That's my job.
Oscar, thanks so much for being my
Thank
first
you.
guest. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, when talking about Meelunie, we really should be talking about the people that helped shape our company. People like Mr. Lam Senior and Junior, and how do you call the next generation?
Cyrus and Edwin.
Yeah, but
Cyrus and
so
Edwin.
you have Senior, Junior, and then what?
Yeah.
Junior.
Junior, okay.
But so people like Mr. Lam and Mr. Chen, people like yourselves, our suppliers, our clients, and people like 23-year-old Wais Basharat. He was born in Afghanistan. He fled his home when he was 7. He arrived in the Netherlands as a refugee. He started working with our company 4 years ago as an intern, and today he is in charge of all of our logistical operations for our export to Asia. Give him a big hand. Wais Basharat. Wais, you were 7 when you left Afghanistan. Were you living in Kabul?
I was not living in Kabul. I was living in Mazar-e-Sharif. It's one of the biggest cities in Afghanistan. More than 15 million people are living over there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, as you all may know, my country has suffered a lot, and unfortunately, until today, the situation is not better.
What made your parents decide to leave?
Yes, we are quite a big family. We are living with now with 8 people, but back then we were living with 7 of us. And my dad had quite a high position at the government, and he knew that the situation was not going to better or improve. So he decided, for the good sake of the safety of the children, and in order to make or build a bright future, he decided to leave the country.
Can you describe what it is, what a day is like when you're, let's say, on the run as a refugee?
Well, you know, this it is incredible because there are smugglers who are, of course, they are going to pick you up from a point A and then they're going to bring you to a point B. So you don't control the whole journey by yourself. So and indeed, the journey took more than 1 year to reach the final destination, which was the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And so we were traveling together with a group of 30 people. Unfortunately, not everyone could make it safe to his.
People died during the journey.
People died, got lost.
Got lost.
Got lost. People got drowned.
Got lost.
In the woods, we were traveling. Actually, the whole journey took a year, and it was 50% of the journey took. We did it by just walking.
And so you depend fully on people
Yeah.
you don't know who do this as a
Exactly.
business.
They
And
do
you
it
have
as
to
a
keep
business,
your
indeed.
faith high.
They ask a lot of money. They ask, and you have to pay before. It's not like they are going to send you an invoice afterwards. Like, I love to go back, and I really miss my country. It's a beautiful country, but until today, I do not feel safe to go back there. Yeah.
You have gone through much more than any of us will ever probably experience in life. What has life taught you?
Well, as a young kid, you face the death. You know, a couple of times you see people getting killed and murdered for nothing. So then when you reach your destination, you know that you have a lot of opportunities that you can do and take. And I would tell all the young people, especially to take the opportunities to go after it and to get the best out of yourself. I mean, it's incredible, but it is true. So, yeah.
I'm very happy you're with us today, and I'm happy you work within our company. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a big hand. Wais Basharat. Our next guest knows all about the marketplace, and I invited him to be on our talk show to explain us and tell us what challenges companies like ours will be facing over the next generations. Generations maybe is a bit too long, but let's say the next decade. He's a professor of strategic management at the Erasmus University in Rotterdam, also known as Rotterdam School of Management. He has published various books on strategic renewal and strategic change, and he's also a very good tennis player. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Henk Volberda.
More and more firms have to change their business model. So why business model innovation? Why is it so important? And what's the effect on your performance? And what do you have to change your business model? Is technology the most important lever for business model change? What we see here is that 1 out of 3 firms does do nothing, is in the what we call business model fixation. Then we see only hardly firms that replicate the business model. Business model renewal is very exciting, but hardly any firm is capable of doing that. And indeed, we see a majority also working on several business models at the same time, but they don't really make a choice. And then we see also the middle of the road firms, the 30%, well, they think maybe we replicate a little bit the business model. Maybe we also experiment a little bit with a new business model, but we don't make a choice. I can tell you, for replication, management is most important. Technology is not so important because you only improve the existing business model. But for renewal also, technology becomes important, but management is the most important lever for business model innovation. So lessons learned, well, there are several, but business model innovation starts with leadership and knowledge of your organization. In your management team, not only replicators, but also business model renewers. Focus on the early warning signals, not only on financial performance. Of course, it all depends on your level of competition. If you have multiple business models, be aware of the conflicts. Do not only focus on technology, but also on the other levers. And of course, it ends with successful communication.
Like any good party, we have great music. And the world is full of fine piano players, but only a few have a true, unique story to tell and the gift to not only perform, but also to compose and to sing. Our next guest, she's one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, we're proud to have with us today Iris Hond.
Well, It is true that I was always inside practicing and my friends were playing outside, but it was my own choice. My parents never pushed me. And I'm really happy about it because I think if they did, I wouldn't like playing. I wouldn't enjoy it anymore.
You play for prisoners in prison. You play for the homeless people. Why is that?
When I was 14, I was homeless myself due to all kinds of circumstances.
You were 14?
Yeah. And I developed some really special relationships with the homeless in town. And I started playing for them. And as I played for them, I just felt that it gave them relief and hope. And when I saw that, I decided that I needed to play in more places where music is, needed.
It sounds very strange. You're 14 in the Netherlands and you're homeless. Why?
Why? Well, I left my parents' place because I wanted to study in The Hague. And we lived in a really small village, far away from The Hague. So I had to leave home to study there. And first I was in a guest family, but all kinds of things happened there, so I left. But I didn't dare to tell my parents why I left.
Kinds of things you are willing to talk about, or?
I got abused by my guest parents, the guest father, the father in the house. So I left. I ran away, actually, from the guest family, and I didn't dare to tell my father, especially. I thought he would get a heart attack if I tell him. And so I ended up on the streets because I didn't have another home.
And that's the reason why until today you have a special place in your heart for the homeless and the people less fortunate in this world.
Yeah, for me, of course, it's really important to be on stage and play for my fans and my public, but it's just as important to play for the homeless and the ill and prisoners.
That's wonderful. He is an expert in agricultural innovation. He's an expert in sustainability, agricultural sustainability, and in climate change. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Peter Zuurbier.
Between now and 1979, 20% of the North Pole vanished. That's something. That's something. So, main reason? Easy. Temperature rising. One of the consequences is sea level rising. Towards 21. Impossible to have agriculture in this part of the world, in the south part of Europe. Huge consequences for people, for plants, for animals, for our living environment. So the challenges are, yes, of course, prevent soil erosion, implement soil protection, a lot of things we can do, and that's the good news. And we have more than an economic, we have a moral obligation to work on that.
Thank you very much. I have 1 second less.
Our third and last speaker knows all about how to combine doing business and being sustainable. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Marga Hoek.
I feel like today there's an opportunity at hand that when you are in business, that actually it's good that you're there, because whilst doing business, you can actually improve the world at the same time. And there's lots of opportunities how you can do that. But in terms of food, we actually have the challenge that by 2050, we need to produce almost 27 to 30% more food because of still growing world population and changing consumer behavior. So remember the question we will ask here at the table, can we change things today? We absolutely can. It's a matter of will, it's a matter of leadership. Business has big meaning in this day and era. It can bring solutions the world really needs. In this day and era, with all digital communication, we cannot not know. We actually know everything that's going on in the entire world. And knowing gives a responsibility. That responsibility is actually an opportunity. There's no reason to take it on. Thank you very much.
Dear world, please hold me close tonight beneath your sea of stars.
It's been quite an afternoon, I must say. We've heard wonderful and interesting and touching personal stories. We've had interesting new thoughts and hopeful new thoughts about our future. We've listened to the beautiful music by Iris. And in general, what's clear to me is the fact that times are changing. Bob Dylan sang about it. And the world will keep on changing. And while we should all, we should hold on to the core values which have made our companies to what we are today, we should not only be open to change, but we should really be willing to embrace change and to adapt. And this, ladies and gentlemen, will require from each and every one of us to get out of our comfort zone. Because once we do, we will be able to develop ourselves and our companies, and with development, new opportunities will come along. This brings me to the end of my debut as a talk show host. For me, it's been a wonderful experience. You've been an amazing audience, so a big hand for yourself. I really enjoyed it. I hope you did as much as I did. I want to thank all my guests, Oscar, Wais, Marga, Henk, Peter, and Iris. I want to thank them so much for being on our show today. I'd like to invite Oscar and Wais to join the stage with me. And let's have a big, big hand for all the people who made this possible today. Thank you. Well done.